My name is Simone Cambridge. I'm a second year student in the History of Art and Architecture department. I do art history, and my specialty is in Caribbean diaspora, so Black diaspora and Caribbean studies. Black diasporic studies and art history in particular, I'm going to speak to that. It's related to so people who are forced to migrate from Africa that establish themselves in other places. So that includes the US, that includes the Caribbean, that includes any place where forced migration took place. And it's all about looking through um, those histories, those journeys. In Black diasporic studies, we talk a lot about the Black Atlantic, the movement of people across that body of water. And I look at that in art history. I look at the visual archive that is from those migrations and the way artists are incorporating that into contemporary art. I love art history because art is often the first point that makes contact. It's a point of vulnerability for me. So art is the thing that stays with you. Art is the thing. Art is the thing that moves with you. So you're gonna remember art when you see it. For me, that's a lot of the relevance when you work with Black histories. When you work with anybody's history, you're using art just as a way to get into that culture, that history, to learn more. And to me, that's why it's important. That's why art can make a difference. I'm from the Bahamas, so a lot of my reference points are from there. So to me, coming to UMass, coming to the United States, Black History Month to me is just like a celebration. In general, from the school I was at before, there's a lot more celebration of diversity. So Black History Month is just a part of that for me. So I'm a part of the Graduate Curatorial Fellowship program at the UMCA for 2023. It's offered every year by the UMCA, and students are able to get curatorial experience by working with the permanent collection here at the museum and with each other on a research project that they get to decide. So this year I'm working with Ruthie and Liv, both in different departments. Liv is in Afro M and Ruthie is in the art department. So the project we're working on this year is related to themes of obscurity. So we're looking at things that are hidden, things that are kind of pushed back in the archive, that are ignored purposefully, and we want to focus on how artists play with these themes in their practice, and how also institutions kind of reinforce these themes and are pushing against them in different ways. And we want to talk about that entire process in our exhibition. I work in Black diasporic studies and art history. We have Ruthie. We have Ruthie in the art department. We have Liv in Afro M, and we're already thinking about people who are marginalized. Liv and I, in particular, about themes of race, and we were just trying to figure out how to put that together. Ruthie, in particular, was interested in kind of like how the body is kind of hidden. So when we put all those themes together as we were looking through the collection, we came to that theme. Curating to me is the practice of just arranging artworks into a space, but that entire process comes with a lot of research, a lot of looking into the artist and the artwork, and also arranging them in a compelling way that either asks or answers a question, sometimes both. Um, and Yeah, it's about working with museums. Um, it's about working with artists. It's about creating events around the exhibition or the artwork that you're creating and selecting. Um, I think the role of a curator is important because a lot of the times a curator is the driving force. They have the vision, they have the distinct they have the distinct idea and direction for the way artworks in an exhibition are going to fit. When I've worked with curators in the past, um, when I've worked as a curator in the past, it's always been important to have someone who can just put everything together or help to guide the team to push everything together. And to me, that requires a relationship with the artwork, but also a relationship with all the material surrounding the artwork. So, like, I'm thinking biographies, like long analysis of people's practices, really deep understandings of medium, of the way light works in a space. Um, a lot of these things go into curating, and I think they're really important. A lot of them you don't recognize when you go into a space, but they can really make the difference between a good or a bad exhibition. I think one's identity can be important just in terms of the type of work you select, the type of questions you're open to. I don't think one person is I don't think one person is going to pick the same work as another person, even within the UMCA fellowship that I've been lucky enough to be a part of this year. None of us picked the same works. Like, we all had different perspectives. Even though we talked about the same theme beforehand, we all went in and selected different works that we felt spoke to the theme. And I think that's really exciting. I don't think it's limiting. I think it's more expansive, if anything. The full scope of my identity, not only as a Black diasporic person myself, but just in its totality, it motivates my work very deeply. Personally, it informs my research. It informs the things that inspire me. A lot of what I research, I find, is mirrored in my own histories, and in my own time, it causes me to pause and to look deeply at myself, look closer at myself. It makes me more curious about the things I will never know. There are tons of artists that inspire me, not only Nina Major, but like Jeffrey Maris. There are so many Bahamian artists. Jody Minnis. There's one artist, Anina Major. She actually practices in the New England area right now, but she is from the Bahamas, my home country, and she works with textiles that are based in this weaving practice from slavery. So she makes ceramic works based from this like clay textile medium that she's developed over years, and her work really, to me, speaks about just coming into your identity in new ways. Like, there's this whole discourse about making something that's pliable and flexible, solid and immobile, and something that's really more rooted and grounded. And her work, I really find inspiration in that. Anita Major has this series of straw dolls, which are like kind of little objects. They are made entirely out of like a palm fiber, but she makes them in clay. There's one work, Cheerleader, and another work that's related to it called Sweet Gal. They're just like miniature, almost toy-like dolls, but when you look at it, it's completely different from the original form. It's glazed in kind of like this luminescent, like cherry coated brown and blue, and the doll itself, the function has completely changed. It's become something that's not only bigger than the original object, but something that's no longer serving its original function as a tourist object that can just be thrown in your bag and carried from place to place. Now it's something with a lot more weight, with a lot more permanence. Works like that to me are relevant because they not only talk about the relationship to histories like slavery. So we have like the practice, the actual weaving in the object related to those types of Black histories, but also the way migration is, also the way that migration is currently being tracked in our current time. There are curators that have really inspired me. Um, so Natalie Willis Wiley, she is a Bahamian curator. She practiced at the National Art Gallery of the Bahamas for several years. She's written so much for that institution. And recently she left and now she's an independent curator. She's worked with projects actually based in the US, like the Atlantic Art Fair, that celebrate Black histories, Caribbean histories, diverse histories. And she is doing so much work in gathering contemporary artists and curators from the region and bringing them up like with her work. Natalie's practice also was the first to speak to queer identity, and she had the first show just on Bahamian women's art ever at the gallery, which is a huge deal, and that was in 2020. So recent, so important, so many conversations that have yet to take place. It's so important to talk about contemporary art because it's reflective of how we feel currently. It's reflective of our times. It's reflective of our experiences now. Contemporary art, the way we speak about it now in this moment, will be completely different from how it's looked at historically, even 5 years, 10 years later. So the conversations that we're having now can only really evolve and expand. I think that's exciting to be a part of, if not really, really difficult. And sometimes you can feel a lot of pressure, but it's important, and I think we should do it. Talking about contemporary art can be difficult because you have to be so grounded in what's happening now. When you look to the past, it's easier to have that distance between you and the thing, and for you to analyze it and be like, here are all the reasons why, here are all the problems, and here is why. But in contemporary art, to criticize the moment now, to be questioning not only the artwork or the artist that you're looking at, but also you and the way you're analyzing something, that I think can cause a lot of pressure, but is also why it's important. Come see our show in the spring.